We're now into good afternoon. My name is Sheila Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 27 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Free Research Assistance, Business Development, and Career Enhancement at Your Public Library, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network in collaboration with the Library of Virginia. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted, but if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenters for today's session. Nan Carmack, Director of the Library Development and Networking Division, Library of Virginia, and a small business owner, and Barry Trott, Adult Services Consultant, Library of Virginia. Please join me in welcoming Nan and Barry.
Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or whatever it is that we call this hour of the day. Mine was the technical difficulty, so Barry and I are cozied up in his office, so you'll forgive us for this sort of weird confirmation. We're so glad to have you with us today, and are excited to share with you about what you might consider an unlikely partner in your small business, and that is your local public library. So at the Library of Virginia, as with every state in the union, there is a division like ours whose mission it is to support public libraries. And we do that through a number of channels, most relevant to you. Barry is here as our adult services consultant. And we also collect a variety of digital assets that support all sorts of learning, and we call that Found at Virginia. We collect this selection of databases and online products and other digital content for Virginians of all age. But it's a great place for you to start to begin your research, your business development, and your learning journey. All of these are free. All you need is your local public library card anywhere in Virginia. And all of these products, all of these opportunities are funded by the federal government through the Institute of Museum and Library Services and the Library Science and Technology Act. We also have some appropriations through the Virginia Assembly directly to public libraries in Virginia. So all of this is both federal and state and local. So your local public library is well supported in that way. So I'm going to go ahead and open all these things. Whoops, there we go. Sorry about that. So some of the things you may not realize that are small business assets in your community through your local public library is, of course, they have free Wi-Fi and computers. That is bread and butter. So if you need a place to work outside of your home or your office space to, get away from some distraction, your public library could be a great workspace for you. They have faxing capabilities. They often have notary services. Sometimes you need to make an appointment for that notary, but they are there available for you. You certainly also will find that your public library has spaces for meetings, training, for anything in that way. You can check out a meeting room for your own purpose. Many libraries also have hotspots and laptops that you can check out. So those are just some of the bare bones opportunities that every library in Virginia can offer to you. Now, getting down to small businesses specifically, what are librarians? Librarians are researchers. This is what we go to school for. We know how to do this work. So we not only can help you research your target market and your competition, but also have a heightened awareness of the other resources in your specific community for referral. Some libraries, some of the larger libraries in Northern Virginia, Virginia Beach, they have specific librarians assigned to supporting small businesses. And again, that's going to be different across the state. But you could call and say, do you have a business librarian? And if so, that person specifically can help you find referral sources, research your markets, research your competition, whatever else you might want to know about that. We have recently collaborated with the Southeast Rural Community Assistance Project, where in order to qualify for a small business loan, you have to complete the Entrepreneurial Learning Initiative, which Barry will talk about in just a minute, to qualify for their loans, because this library asset, they know, is a great background opportunity to really get a solid footing for your small business. These loans are focused on rural communities, but they have indicated a willingness to also talk to impoverished communities. So that might be in a city, but if your business is serving an impoverished community, that may be an opportunity for you. And Barry can connect you with the right people in that way. For business owners, if you've already started your business, there are a ton of opportunities for growth, professional development, etc. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Barry, and I'm also going to move out of the screen so we're not so distracting. But again, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Dan. So I'm going to talk about the resources that you can find through Find It Virginia, and all of the public libraries across the Commonwealth have access to these resources. All of them should have the library or these resources up on their library websites. So we've spoken with them, we've worked with them to get the resources linked from their library websites. So wherever you happen to be, you should be able to find all these. So I start off with Entrepreneurial Learning Initiative. Nan talked about that briefly relating to CERCAP, but Entrepreneurial Learning Initiative is a self-paced course that teaches you not how to run a business. It's not going to tell you how to develop a business plan or do budgeting, but it's going to teach you how to think entrepreneurially, to look at, see what opportunities are there, see what challenges, to see what strengths and skills you have, and how you can take advantage of those. It's self-paced. It's a series of modules. It takes about 10 hours to work through in that online learning environment. And it's really helpful whether you're trying to build a business from scratch or reinvent your career or your life. You can really get started with Entrepreneurial Learning Initiative in thinking new ways. It's not so much, as I said, about the nuts and bolts of running a business, but it's how to think like an entrepreneur, how to be able to see opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities. Universal Class is one of our most popular Find It Virginia resources. It offers also online self-paced courses with real teachers, so you can get feedback from a real person who has been vetted. They know what they're talking about. It's a great opportunity if you are a business owner to assign professional development opportunities for your employees. There are over 100 classes that relate to business and entrepreneurship, including things like soft skills for business. How do you operate in a work environment? Maybe, if somebody who's never been in an office, how do you operate in an office? How do you interview better? How do you do project planning? Has classes on accounting, on personnel management and HR issues. So if you're having an issue and you want to build your skills there, it's a great opportunity to do that. And lots of classes on technology and computing. So if you have someone who maybe needs a little bit more work in Excel or Word or developing PowerPoint presentations or something like that, these classes, they will range anywhere from an hour or two. There are Excel classes that run for 22 and 24 hours, so you can get a ton of Excel learning in there, or you can go straight to the section you want. If you want to learn about pivot tables and how they can change your life in many, many different ways, which I will attest to, you can go straight to that section of the class. So Universal Class, a great opportunity to get some professional development and to get some CE credits as well. Gale Legal Forms is another wonderful tool. We know that public libraries get a lot of use out of this. It's an opportunity to find downloadable, fillable forms for basic legal transactions that are all tied to the Virginia code. So this is forms that are specific to Virginia and conform with Virginia code. It's got all sorts of basic legal needs. So, if you need a bill of sale, a power of attorney, landlord tenant things, of contracts of all sorts, wills, living wills, do not resuscitate documents, all of those kind of things. But from a business perspective, I think the most valuable part is this comprehensive section of templates for small businesses that include things like invoices, leases, sales agreements, contracts, and lots more. So rather than having to reinvent the wheel, you can download and use these tools in your business for creating your invoicing system, creating your sales agreements, and so forth. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool to take advantage of, somebody having done all that work for you. I want to talk next about Excel 5, which is a business library. This is a curated collection. It includes videos, book summaries, and articles, 3 big sections, one of each, that are focused on things like professional development, leadership theory, business best practices. This is really a great tool for anyone who wants to just find out what's current thinking in the business world. Again, these are short things. The articles are brief. The book summaries summarize a book about business, so you can decide whether you want to read the whole thing or not. The videos feature current business people talking about what has made them successful. You can create an individual account to keep track of your reading materials and your progress, or you can use it as a guest account and just have a one-off access anytime you want. Another one we want to talk about that we just added this past fall is transparent language online. As the business community diversifies, we know that people are going to be coming in maybe needing to have some background in other languages. And so transparent language offers online self-paced language learning in over 140 different foreign languages, including American Sign Language. So maybe, if you are working with the deaf or hard of hearing community and want to develop some basic skills in ASL, it's a great opportunity to do that. Another really important piece here, I think, is that it includes ESL and ELL, so English language learning, English as a second language materials, for speakers of 34 different languages. So it offers classes in English, how to speak English, based in another language. So it has English for Spanish speakers, English for Vietnamese speakers, English for Chinese speakers, and so on. So rather than having a complete immersion in the English class, they can learn English in their own language, the classes. So it's a great learning opportunity, again, for employees maybe who need to build their English learning skills. It includes practice in both reading, speaking, listening, and writing. So all 4 areas of communication. And that was one of the reasons why we were excited about adding this. There's a lot of language learning programs out there that offer maybe 1 or 2 of these opportunities or modalities to learn in, but transparent language offers all 4 of them. So it's a great tool. I want to look now at tools in Find in Virginia. Some of them are going to be the same. That might be valuable for employees. Again, Universal Class offers those online self-paced courses with professional development opportunities and office skills, DEI training. So if you need to build in some diversity, equity, and inclusion training, Universal Class offers that. Microsoft Office skills, as I mentioned, lots of training in customer service. So if you have employees who need to maybe build their customer service skills a little bit, you can point them to Universal Class. Time management, another important part of managing any sort of business. And then I want to talk about homework help now. While it is primarily a product for K through college students, Homework Help Now does have an adult learning center that offers live skills tutoring in basic, intermediate, and advanced math, reading, and writing. So if you have an employee who really needs to build skills in one of those areas, pointing them to the Adult Learning Center and Homework Help Now can really get them help. And again, it's live help from accredited teachers. They can log on anytime between 2 and 11, 7 days a week, and connect with a live tutor that can help them in a variety of different areas, math, reading, and writing. It also offers live help in Microsoft Office tools, high school equivalency prep, U.S. citizenship prep. So if you have staff that are either looking to finish out their high school degree or get U.S. citizenship, great resource here. And it has a writing lab. I think that's one of the things that so often people come into a work situation not knowing how to write for business. And the writing lab and the Adult Learning Center can be a really invaluable tool to get them started on the right path. From the same company, we also offer a tool called Job Now. Job Now allows those who take advantage of it to connect with a certified career coach 7 days a week between 2 and 11 p.m. They can get help with things like resume writing, job applications, job searching, and skill development needs. They can also find unemployment assistance, including resume templates, career assessments, and more. And I think most interestingly here, it offers test preparation resources and practice tests and career credentialing information for over 140 specific careers. So if you have someone who is trying to get a CDL, commercial driver's license, it has the credentialing information here on how you go about getting a CDL in Virginia and so forth, as well as all the other states. And the last one I want to talk about is a new project for us. This is a pilot project that we're working with several of the libraries in Virginia and a company called Smart Horizons Career Online High School, which allows students to earn both a high school diploma and a certificate in a chosen career path. This is not a GED. This is actually an accredited high school, Smart Horizons is. They will work online. The average time to complete their high school degree is about 12 months, but they're usually many of them finish in 10 months, but they're given up to 18 months to complete the program. During the program, they'll create a career portfolio that includes things like resumes and cover letters, as well as examples of work. These are self-paced courses. It's an online learning environment with a lot of support. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And right now it's available from 8 public libraries. So if you want to explore that, feel free to reach out to either Nan or to me, and we'll be happy to connect you with the libraries that are offering. So that's a very, very quick trip through Find It Virginia. And as Nan talked about, the resources that your public library has to offer to support you as a business person. So we're going to go to the question section. So
while you're thinking of your questions, as a small business owner myself, you're an expert in the thing your business is, right? But often not an expert in the business functions with, state reporting to, how all the forms you have to fill out, all the things that the state owes. Maybe you've never hired another human before. Maybe you've never had to supervise another human before. So that's where a lot of these things come into play. Are the thing, small businesses are based on your expertise, but there's so much more involved in that. And so libraries are a great place to grow all that other stuff. So with that, we'll just invite the questions that might have arisen.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nan and Barry. We do have a couple questions, and I don't think you've covered these in the presentation, but if you have, I don't think it's a bad idea to reiterate. So
never.
So the first question was, is there a cost for the universal classes?
Ooh,
No. All of the things that we talked about are free.
Yes. We would recommend going through your public library's website to get to it. And you'll need your little barcode. If you just go to universalclass.com, it's going to ask you to buy an account. And you don't need to do that because, frankly, your tax dollars have already done so.
Right. So just find your local public library. And again, if you have problems locating, what your closest library is, feel free to reach out to Nan or to me.
That's wonderful. Do libraries offer access to such software such as Meltwater?
I'd have to ask what meltwater
What's
is.
meltwater?
That's not what I'm familiar with.
We'll see if they pop that into the
Yeah.
Q&A here.
Yeah, while they're responding to that, I will say that many of our libraries have maker spaces that include studios for making podcasts,
Video editing
video
software.
editing, that kind of thing. I do know, I don't remember which library, but I do know one library even has a CAD design studio. So for example, if you're breaking into the landscaping business, before you go out and buy your own CAD programs to do that design work, you might check with your library and see if that's not something they have available.
Okay, we're going to go to the next question. I'll keep an eye open to see if the attendee comes back in and expands on Meltwater. So is there a space where I can ask fundamental legal and accounting questions? So I don't know if that's regards to the library or to the SBDC, but I'll let you all address it first.
So here's the challenge for public libraries. We give information, not advice. So often legal questions are really about opinions and advice and interpretation of the law, and that is not something public libraries can offer you. But it could be that on legal forms, they have a great blog section. It could be that your question is already answered there by legal professionals.
Okay, great.
So I looked up Meltwater, and if this is what the questioner was talking about, Meltwater is a online media monitoring company, and so I don't think you're going to find any public libraries that have an account there that would be open to the general public or anything like that. It really is, that's focused on a business getting an account to monitor what they want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's not the right Meltwater, though, feel free to come back.
Great, thanks. Here's someone asking if you can go through the list of resources again. The connection cut out for a few moments.
Sure.
Is that easy enough? Okay.
Do we have a slide that it summarizes all of them?
No, but you know what? I'm gonna here, let's get out of that screen for a second. I'm gonna stop sharing and then start sharing again. Let's see here. Oh, let me do this. I'm sorry. Let me take a minute here and get to Find It Virginia. All right, so are you seeing the finditvirginia.com webpage now?
I see that, yes.
Let's do this. Let's stop sharing and share one more time. So if you want to see all of the resources, you can go to finditvirginia.com, finditva.com rather. And you'll see a list of all of them, including ones we didn't talk about because they really aren't applicable to small businesses. However, what we'd recommend, as Nan said, is you don't want to start on this page, because going from here, you might be prompted for a library card from the Library of Virginia, which most people don't have. And so you do want probably to start off with your local public library page. And we do also have a link there to find your local public library, I think under Universal Class probably.
Yeah, I did. There was something on here that I wanted to comment on. So Magster Digital Magazines is a new product for us, and I've been using it a ton. And there are a bunch of industry specific titles in there.
Cool.
Manufacturing, IT, landscape design. That's something I'm interested in, landscape design. So I pay attention to that. Small businesses based on crafting. So check out Magster as an opportunity to find some, where you can keep up with the industry through its publications. But to find your public library, if you go to finditvirginia.com, there's a link here to find your local library. And you just put in where you live. And it's going to show you where your library is. So
great. I'll drop that in the chat in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and read this next question to keep us moving. My mentor mentioned that there was a database in the library to research local businesses and the size of the business and the number of employees. I run a team building business. I'm interested in looking at businesses to approach.
Sure, that's a great question. So that is probably, it's not one that we provide through Find It Virginia. However, many libraries provide resources outside of or in addition to Find It Virginia. So that is probably either I would guess it's either called Data Axle or called A to Z databases.
However, the Library of Virginia does provide this. I'm trying to find it so I can share it with you.
Back to for researchers and databases and books.
That was finditvirginia.org. Is that correct?
Com.
Thank you.
But I think that we own org too, and it just redirects.
Ah, okay.
So
No, maybe we don't have Data Axle anymore.
is that what it's called?
I think so.
Sorry, we're doing little librarian stuff here. Because it used to be called RefWorks, right? USA RefWorks.
Ref USA. Oh,
Oh,
now
there it
it's
is. Okay.
It's called Reference Solutions now.
Okay, so I'm going to share that screen.
Data Axle Reference Solutions.
So if you go to the Library of Virginia website, you would need to get a library card, but you can do that in minutes. You basically put in your driver's license or your state ID number, and that gives you access. And can you see our screen, the Library of Virginia screen?
I see it.
Okay. So if you start on the home page of the Library of Virginia, and go to For Researchers, you go to this link for register for a library account. But in order to get to that reference database that you were just asking about, you go to Research Guides and Indexes.
No, go to databases and ebooks. I'm sorry.
My bad.
I think.
For researchers, yes, you're
Yeah.
correct. Databases and ebooks. And it's called Reference Source. So this Reference Solutions is where you would find that business data where that is specifically, that's exactly what the questioner was asking.
Yeah.
What are competitors? What is their yearly value? How many employees do they have, et cetera, et cetera. This is a really important database for you to do your market research. So get your Library of Virginia card as well as your public library card, because this database you can only get to with the Library of Virginia card. Also paid by your tax dollars. So make use of it.
Right. And as you know, it is possible that your local public library, depending on who they are, may have this or another one similar called A to Z databases. But as Nan said, yep, you can put in, you can choose a business type by the SIC code and set a geographic boundary and say, show me all the businesses in this sort of industry in my area. It's very powerful, very cool tool.
And just, clicking through it so you can see the kind of information that you can get. Zip code's super important. People don't think about zip code searching, but do you have a competitor in your zip code? Right. So that's definitely there.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to go on to the next one here. In your opinion, what are some of the best programs or options from what was covered today that would best benefit nonprofits in the area to help serve their clients with career legal services?
Job Now, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on what that legal service is.
Legal services. Yeah.
There is on Gale Legal Forms a database of Virginia attorneys that are members of the bar, but we don't want to construe that as an endorsement of those attorneys.
Right.
That's our disclaimer. But there is that directory.
And there's also a legal dictionary.
Yeah.
there again, but it's not to say that that's a substitute for a good lawyer.
Okay, so here's one. I am seeking help with market research for my industry as a life coach, and this might have gone into what you just shared. Alexandria Library advertised that they helped with this, but then they deferred her to an online labor stats and job force trends. Is there a place where I can access this information for life coaching services? She was concerned that the library wasn't helping her. So I think that's what you just covered, but
Yeah,
wanna
that reference, I want to call
Reference
it Rescue
solutions.
USA because that's what I've always called it.
Reference
Reference solutions is going to be your best bet for that. I do know, so here's a disclaimer for all public libraries right now. That labor shortage that everyone is experiencing, we have it too. So it may just be that Alexandria didn't have the staff capacity that they used to pre-COVID. To help you in a more robust way. That's just really, it's affecting all of us.
Okay. Our attendee here did come back. Meltwater is like, I'm going to Cision, CISION, for media database management. I know some university libraries have the software.
Yeah, so we do not offer that because, so if you think about all of the things that we offer, it's really to the user rather than interactive with your business and you. So that, you know, so Meltwater, Barry had looked it up. It looks like a sort of a third party thing. And just due to so many privacy restrictions, we would not be able to offer that because then you're, you know, all of your data would be in our data and you probably don't want that. The state can't really handle it. So those are not the kinds of things that we offer.
Okay, so this one was a reference to an earlier question. I apologize, I don't remember the question, but would that be the Gale legal forms you referred to? Do you recall what that was in reference to?
If that was about finding more information for your client base, yes.
Might have been.
Gale Legal Forms has, you know, articles and blogs and things like that that might be helpful. It's gonna, you know, you're gonna have to go in there and just poke around and see what you find. But again, your local public librarian can also help you with that.
And this is a piggyback on, I think it was finding customers to reach out to. How about data about our market? You may have also covered that in that.
Yeah, that's going to be the ref solution.
Solutions or whatever tool your library,
Yeah.
local library has,
Yeah.
depending on where you are.
The Gale legal, it was about legal questions forums. Does that?
Yeah, like I said, there's a blog and article archive in Legal Forms that may answer your questions, but it doesn't have any sort of live feature in that way, because again, we can't offer legal advice and we would not provide a product that was providing legal advice.
Right.
We're just information providers.
Right, and so those articles in that forum are really for education, but not for
Advice.
saying that's a legal solution.
And the attendee earlier that was looking for help through the Alexandria Library, I just want to read, she said, thanks. What you sent, what you just shared was very helpful. And so it's just thanking you for sharing that information.
Sure.
All right, do we have any other questions? I don't have anything in the box right now. Oh, so where can I ask accounting questions?
I think, to be honest, you're gonna have to go again, sort of
Yeah.
like Nan said with the legal questions. Librarians aren't set up, they're not accountants. They can point you to a CPA in your community. That also is something you could check with the local, if there's a local SCORE chapter.
Yeah.
You know, so the SCORE, the Society of Service Community of Retired Executives. SCORE offers mentoring to people starting small businesses, and there are chapters around the state. That's another place. What does the SBDC offer in terms of accounting support? I'm not sure. I'm going to throw it back to the SBDC there.
Well, and that was my thought, is that there might be some advising needed through the SBDC. And the local center can help with that. And that information will be sent out. And I put a link, I think, in the chat too. But that's probably the best bet is to get with an advisor.
And your local librarian can help you find your local SCORE chapter. So,
Yep, and sometimes they work closely with SCORE. In fact, often they do.
yeah.
And there are lots of books in the library on accounting. You can certainly check out, and classes in universal class. You can do a universal class on accounting. There's no question there's resources there.
I've taken that class. It's really good.
There you go. Testimony.
There you go. Okay. Do we have any other questions before we finish up here?
I don't know if you want to put your email in the chat, because I think your email was not on the slide. Which I
Yeah,
apologize
I
for.
will put my email in the chat.
Great.
Put Barry's too.
And mine was on the slide, but I forgot to put Nan's on the slide.
Okay. I will try to remember to include those in the follow-up email.
Yep.
Just so we're definitely covered there.
And we're happy to have people reach out to us.
Okay. Thanks.
Virginia.gov. I think.
Yeah.
So if you all don't have anything else to add and there's no more questions, I will go ahead and wrap us up here.
Apologies for the chaos of the beginning. It's like, oh, the technology didn't work. And so then I got a little flustered, if you will.
That's the fun of this, right?
Yes.
But again, do feel free to reach out to us if we can help connect you with your public library. We've already actually done that for a couple of folks who contacted us before the programs. So
That's
feel
right.
free to
That's right.
feel free to reach out to us, and we can help you find, what's your local closest library? Do they have a business librarian to talk to, and things like that?
Yeah.
What
That's
resources do they have in addition to Find It Virginia?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
If you go to your local public library, you can just tell them, hey, the Library of Virginia said to come by here and talk to you about my business.
Please do.
Please do. They will be very happy about that. It certainly will remind the public libraries that we're out here doing our job, getting people to come use their services, because
Right.
it's often, as I said at the beginning, an unlikely partner that can be a really robust partner
Absolutely.
for your small business.
Well, Nan and Barry, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everyone for attending today's session. You will receive an email with a link to the recording and the slides. If you'd like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. These resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. We had one more question pop up. So before I totally end this, I'm going to take a look over there and see, since we have some time. Oh, someone's just thanking you. That was very informative. So again, thank you all for attending. And we do hope to see you at our next session. Take care, everyone.
All right, have a good afternoon.
You too.